You just shared a panel on mobile entertainment, and it was pretty lively. There was an argument about how people would be watching entertainment and what type they'd be watching on their mobile phones. Give us your takeaway really quick, if you would.
Well, sure. So we had a big panel. We had 7 panelists, and they ranged from folks representing handset manufacturers, technology provider in TV over cell phones, and then lots of people who participate in creating content for cell phones. So wide variety of opinions, and some of the big discussions that happened were around the desirability of watching long-form content versus short-form content on your handset, and a number of the panelists, were adamant that TV experience only belonged on the TV, and that being the big screen, and that the only thing that people would be consuming on their handsets is some form of short-form snack-like content. So that was one area of heated discussion. We had a couple of people who had experience in the film and video industry who don't want to see the value of their content degraded, quote unquote, by being viewed on a 2.8-inch screen instead of a 60 or 70-inch screen. So that was a lively part of our panel. Another big discussion we had was around the economics of delivering mobile video, which it's actually quite expensive for a carrier to deliver megabytes of content over the data interface to the phone. So that's the part of the mobile spectrum that is the same channel that the cell phone calls go over. And that's part of the reason why some of the carriers and handset manufacturers are experimenting with delivering video through other channels, primarily TV-type broadcast interface like DVB-H or media flow, or other channels like Wi-Fi. And so we had a lot of discussion about that, because delivering a megabyte of content over the data channel is about 30 cents per megabyte. So it's not really economic to have people adopt that en masse when they can't charge enough to cover that, and CPMs in the advertising space are also not sufficient to create gross margin for the carrier there. So then we segued to talk a lot about the iPhone, because the iPhone itself with its new UI, and then the 3G version, and in particular the availability of Wi-Fi connectivity, have really dramatically increased the amount of content that people consume on their iPhone. And so we had a lot of discussion about that, and did that kind of high watermark for media consumption. About 30% of iPhone users watch videos on their iPhone, versus somewhere between 1% and 5% for feature phone users. So dramatic increase. So we had a lot of discussion about the carriers offering Wi-Fi, what the charging model for that would be, and how would people be discovering content then.
And you were an investor in Good Technologies. That was bought by Motorola. There was someone from Motorola on the panel who said that when they surveyed their users, when they went with the bigger screen, all of a sudden the usage or the video adoption, viewing, went from like 10% to 50%, like you're talking about with the iPhone. What do you think about how much penetration we'll have? Do you think we'll have 100% of users, once everybody gets on some kind of phone with a big screen, that everyone sooner or later will be watching video on their cell phones?
Well, I think video content is one of the most relaxing, most approachable forms of content there are. There's a lot of talk about the lean forward interaction that we have with our PCs versus the sit back interaction we have with our televisions, which is a less engaging, more relaxing experience. And I think that the data actually show people have both kinds of experience with their handsets. So you've got the I'm hunched over, texting, BlackBerrying, doing something very interactive with the phone kind of experience, and you also see people just as often relaxing with their handset and watching things. So I think if the content is there and it's easily discoverable, people will interact with it. And it doesn't have to be a very big screen. It doesn't even have to be as big as the iPhone screen, which is truly a beautiful screen, but the quality of screens even on feature phones and other smartphones is pretty strong. I personally think that the content discovery is the biggest impediment to people interacting with content. When you have to thumb through layers and layers of different little text listings on the handset to try and get to the kind of content you want. So that's, quote, navigating the carrier deck, even though the deck is no longer an on-the-phone application. The deck is just a WAP page that's text links. But the link structure is so complex and the content is deeply buried. That's what makes it difficult for people to find and use content. And one of the things that made, and we discussed this on the panel, that rapidly increased the adoption of people watching particularly YouTube video content on the iPhone is there's a button on the home screen to watch iPhone video. So you can press the button and you nearly instantly be at a place where you have access to lots of content and you can navigate it by looking at thumbnails, and that's a dramatically better experience. So it's not the screen size necessarily, it's the how close to the surface is the content.
And last thing, that suggests that maybe a startup working on some type of discovery software might be something you'd be interested in. As an investor right now in mobile, what are the areas you're looking in that you think there's going to be a good value?
Well, actually the most recent mobile investment that we made is a company called Playphone that aggregates content from lots and lots of branded content owners and sells it as a subscription directly to consumers or in partnership with other big media brands. So I personally do believe that people will pay for good content, and part of the reason why consumers pay somebody like Playphone or some of these other content companies is because there is a way to find the content rather than having it be buried on the deck. I do think there's opportunities for video specialists in mobile content. I also think there are many more opportunities for the advertising space, but I think that's at a very nascent spend level. It's only really experiments coming from big brands, but you look at things like mobile couponing and other opportunities that are more personalized, and I think that will be a large future area that's just getting going now.
Okay, Sharon Weinbar with Scale Venture Partners, Managing Director. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.